Hey guys, another Hopper Hot Take this evening. I want to talk a little bit about what I talked about in class today, my sports medicine class at school. We talked about sudden cardiac arrest, and we started today's lecture with a video from Fenville, Michigan. Fenville, Michigan basketball player Wes Leonard died several years ago now, like 2011, 2012, somewhere in there. I can't remember exactly. Wes Leonard was a high school basketball player, scored the winning basket, sealed a perfect regular season for his team, collapsed and died on the basketball court. Now, his cause of death was sudden cardiac arrest due to an enlarged heart, but one of the contributing causes of death was negligence on the school. And you know by now that I get really frustrated with this, and showing this video today, it's about a 17 minute video, really powerful, really emotional video that I showed to my kids, and it was really hard for me today actually to to talk afterwards. And so we started talking about emergency action plans and preparing for sudden cardiac arrest in a school setting. This presentation I gave at the Dallas Ministries Conference to a bunch of our diocese teachers a couple years ago. Preparing for that cardiac emergency in a school setting, in an athletic setting, something that Fenville High School did not prepare for, and ultimately it cost Wes Leonard his life. We can really come to three different points where that school screwed up, and maybe one would have made a difference. Number one, they didn't have any type of medical staff on hand. They don't have an athletic trainer. They didn't have an athletic trainer, at least at the time. So no medical staff on hand to recognize what was going on. Number two, they didn't have an emergency action plan. They had no plan in place for if that were to occur. Remember, sudden cardiac arrest, the leading cause of death in student athletes. It happens once every 3 days in American schools. We have to have a plan in place for that. Number three, by the time they found an AED, it was locked in the principal's office, in a closet, behind a in a cabinet, with a dead battery. In other words, the point of having the AED was worthless at that point. It was a paperweight. It was a heavy, expensive paperweight. The AED wouldn't have done any good. Okay, so we've got to have a plan. We've got to have the medical staff, and we've got to have an AED. Fenville High School failed that day, and Wes Leonard paid the price for it, and a community paid the price for it. Remember, not having an emergency action plan is grounds for negligence in a lawsuit. Lawsuits, as they relate to a student-athlete death, range anywhere between $1 and $3 million. Okay. We've got to do better than that. We can do better than that. We have to have a plan in place. We have to do something about sudden cardiac arrest. It's going to keep happening. We've got to be able to save these lives. Let's take the step forward. Let's make sure we're doing that. Let's make sure we're prepared for sudden cardiac arrest. Certified athletic trainer is going to be ready for sudden cardiac arrest. They're going to have an emergency action plan. They're going to know what's necessary, what could happen. They're going to be able to recognize it. They're also likely to have an AED. Hire an athletic trainer. Parents, if you don't have one, if your school doesn't have one, start asking that question, why not? The time is now. Every athlete deserves an athletic trainer.